Good afternoon. Hello. Welcome, everyone. Great to see you all. Welcome. Welcome to our new lecture. Great to see you all. Good afternoon. Let's get started. This is the QR code. Please do register your attendance before we start. So today, our topic is self-making, and we will have a self-making workshop today. Let us kickstart our lecture today. So here's our agenda. Self-making studio. We will talk about career success, but especially how you will build yourself, which I call is self-making. It includes economic success as well. So I will be including some exercises on money, compounding, crowdfunding, and entrepreneurial thinking. But also, at a more deeper level, this session is about discovering yourself, your talents really, and how to think about these as well at the same time. So I recently read this book. It is called Shoe Dog. It is written by Phil Knight. Phil Knight is the founder of Nike, and it is a great memoir. If you are into entrepreneurship, I would say look at this book. You will learn so much about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurial success and risk-taking just from reading this book. So I strongly recommend it. You'll learn so much about business just by reading this book. I want you to look at this list. These are principles of adult behavior by Barlow. Please choose your top 7 from this list and take a note. Get your notebook and pens and pencils. Which ones do you think are most appealing to you that you should listen to? So choose your top 7 suggestions, please, and make some quick notes in the next 1 minute. So please choose your top 7 and make quick notes. You might say these are also principles for learning as well as happiness. So see which ones are most appealing to you. Try to wrap it up, please. Okay, let's continue with the next slide. This is the 2% mindset. So 98% of the population are mediocre. That means they feel insecure, they are in the survival mode, they are operating in their comfort zones. And our comfort zones are all about comfort, yes, but they are also about fear, just getting by. A dull life, it is boring, playing it. Why do we like stuck ourselves in our comfort zones because it is easy to do. You can play it safe, you can procrastinate, you can settle for less, and you can be intimidated, etc. So that's why it is very challenging to go out of our comfort zones. But if you do that, you will be rewarded tremendously. But only 2% of the population are really good in overcoming these blocks and going out of their comfort zones. It is very difficult indeed. You know, if you have some entrepreneurial dreams, if you want to write your own book, let's say, if you want to create your own company, if you want to create your own brands, these all require tremendous risk-taking and adventure. If you want to, you know, visit the world, all these things, they require tremendous creativity, energy, dedication, persistence, confidence. So I think we need to push our envelopes. We need to push ourselves and stretch ourselves, scare ourselves to go beyond our comfort zones and survival zones. And how can we do that? That's the big question. I want you to think of one action in order to achieve this. How can you go beyond your comfort zone? Open your notebook and please write down that smart action. So what would you like to do? Think of one smart action to implement in your life to go towards this 2% mindset. Think of it and write it down, please. Okay, in the next slide, how to deal with economic crisis. I wrote this article in 2019. So this was before the economic crisis. This was before the pandemic. But I was expecting an economic crisis. And at that time, at Medium, I wrote this article. Young individuals are among the most vulnerable in an international economic crisis. What can you do as an individual? How can you cope with volatility, uncertainty? I argue that you should all establish your own game of asset creation for the long term. So in this article, I give you some strategies on how to do that, practical tips. So please click on this link and read this article. It is more timely than ever because right now we are still in the middle of a world crisis, world economic crisis. So these strategies are more salient, more relevant than ever. So have a look and try to apply these strategies. Please read this article, click on it, read it, and then reflect on what actions you might take in your life. What are the actions that you can take? So next, in relation to this, I have an exercise. This is about money, but it is not only about money, it is also about self-making and creativity. Your goal is to save or earn, make 111 pounds a week, okay? So how would you do it? Open your notebooks, get your pens, pencils, please. Your goal is to make an extra of 111 pounds every week, okay? How can you do that? I want you to think about at least 20 different ideas and write them down. Make a list, open a new page on your notebook, come up with 20 ideas to earn, to make an extra of 111 pounds every week. How can you do that? Please come up with at least 20 ideas and write them down. Start creating them right now. So here are some ideas, some lists. Can you do some part-time work on Fiverr, let's say? Can you rent out a room using Airbnb? Can you do Uber? Can you pick up some projects or gigs? Can you do some editing? Can you cook at home? Can you think of other ways to save? Can you solve some problems? Can you buy and sell stuff on Amazon, let's say? Can you use your unique talents, strengths, skills? Can you invest? Can you create new value? Can you think of new digital products, let's say, and sell them? Can you do some teaching or consulting? Can you act as an entrepreneur? Can you produce your artwork and sell it on Etsy? Can you bake sale or do some online work, sell your expertise or services, etc., etc. So these are some initial ideas. Please come up with your own ideas. The more specific, the more detailed, the better. So keep writing, please. Keep your ideas. The more ideas, the better. Your goal is to come up with 20 ideas, but the more, the better. And also, you can come up with some ridiculous ideas. Even if it is not realistic, continue the list, like think radically. 13 is a good number, Lauren, well done. But let's try to continue. Our goal here is to maximize the number, okay? So don't judge your ideas. Don't, at this stage, don't judge them. Just keep writing, keep creating ideas. Also, one way to go forward, can you combine some of these ideas to come up with new ideas? Which ideas can you combine together? Perhaps you can come up with new ideas by combining 2 or 3 ideas together. So how can you do that? Think about that. Try to wrap it up, please. Now, I want you to pick top 2. Which are the most promising ones from your list? So choose one of them, let's say, and do it tomorrow. And then choose one of them and do it the next day. And then choose another one and experiment with it the next day, etc. So try to choose at least 3 to 4 of them and then put them into action immediately in this week. How can you start? Give yourself a challenge. If this challenge is too much for you, let's say 111 pounds, it might be like, as a start, if it is too intimidating for you, start with a lower number. Maybe you can start with 40 pounds. How can you make, let's say, let's start with 40 pounds this week. My goal is to create 40 pounds, which is much easier when you think about it. 40 pounds is like more manageable. So start with 40 pounds, and then you can increase it to 50 pounds. And then next week, you can increase it to 60 pounds, etc. Each week, you can increase it by 10 pounds and give yourself a challenge. And try to stretch yourself towards new ways of thinking. But some of the ideas, they might be also long-term. You might want to think like an entrepreneur, build some systems. And sometimes you won't be making money for quite some time. But if you are thinking for the long term, you will be making money in the long term, much more money in the long term. So also think about the long term. But I think this is like a game. It is not only about money. Of course, money is important, but this is also about problem solving. Problem solving. It is a way of telling our brains, give your brains a puzzle. When you give your brains a great puzzle to solve, then we become much more active and creative. And this is also about creativity. The more we think flexibly, create more ideas, the more we become creative. And we are also exercising our muscles of creativity here. Cool, Norton. That's a great idea. And dogs are amazing. So that's a win-win. Excellent. So please try to implement your ideas. There are personal finance books, lots of them. One of them is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but there are many others. I recommend that you read them. And there are many websites as well, like these, Motley's Fool or the other websites that give you personal finance suggestions. Make sure you Google them, you read them, and you implement them in your life. So you need to get out of the rat race, make money work for you, and you need to work to learn. So don't just depend on your salary. Focus on buying assets first. Why? Because when you have income from your assets and when they exceed your expenses, then this means you will get richer without trading labor, without investing your time. So you don't depend on salary using this method. You just depend on your assets. Let's say you have a house, let's say, and you rent it out. You have a room, you rent it out. Or you invest in some stocks and those stocks start paying you dividends. So all these income from your assets will increase your richness. Okay, so if you use these methods, you will be rich in the long term. And it all starts with small amounts. We call this the power of compounding. So there is a exercise called the magic penny. Let me ask you, which is better, taking 3 million in cash right now or a single magic penny that will double in value every year for 31 days? So which one? When I first saw this, I said, taking $3 million seems like really a good deal. Why should I start with a penny? But it turns out taking the penny is much more profitable. Why? Like most people will choose the $3 million cash, right? But if you took the penny, what happens? You start with 1 penny. In day 10, this becomes $5, doubling every day. In day 20, this becomes more than $5,000. And then in day 29, this becomes 2.7 million. And then by day 31, it becomes more than 10 million. Okay, almost $11 million. So this illustrates the power of compounding. I think you need to really understand this, how compounding works. Einstein said compounding is the 8th wonder of the world. So you need to really understand how compounding works in the world. This is a magic word. You need to Google this. How does compounding work? And why is it so critical for your life? If you really understand it, Einstein says, you will solve many problems of your life. You will be happier. It is like one of the secrets of the universe, because it is everywhere. The power of compounding is everywhere. So this is the main value in investing as well. So why is, let's say, Warren Buffett one of the richest people in the world? Because Warren Buffett started investing when he was really young. He was 13 or something when he started investing. And so until now, he had more than 50 years to compound his wealth. So the earlier you start saving and investing, the more chances you will have towards compounding your net value, net wealth. Okay, so I recommend you do some Googling, understand the power of compounding, and understand how you can use it for your life. So this is not only about finance, by the way, it's also about self-improvement. Let's assume there are 3 friends, Larry, Scott, and Brad. They are very similar, okay? But let's say Larry keeps doing what he has always done. Scott makes small positive changes daily. Let's say he starts reading some books, 10 pages a day, cutting 125 calories a day, and walks an extra of 1,000 steps a day. Okay, take some small positive changes. Brad, on the other hand, makes a few poor choices, buys a big TV, eats a bit more dessert, and adds a soda drink per week. So these are very small habits, right? But what happens? At the 10th month, month 10, there are no perceivable differences. Nothing matters, it seems. But by the month of 25, there are measurable differences. And by month 31, these differences have become very stark. So what happens? Scott loses a lot of weight, gets a promotion and a raise because increases his knowledge. His marriage is also thriving. So he's getting ahead by these small positive changes. Larry is exactly in the same place and he is feeling bitter about it. Brad puts on some weight. He feels sluggish, less confident, less productive, more withdrawn, and he's unhappy. So good habits carry us forward in tremendous, incredible ways. And similarly, bad habits bring us down, and they bring us down really fast in the long term. They harm us, they destroy us. So it is important that you understand this compound effect, which is if you make small, smart choices every day, consistently, over time, you will achieve radical differences and radical success. This is the same for health, relationships, income, success, and happiness. So in the short run, there will be no visible differences. But if you can develop these habits, these small habits, positive habits, if you consistently do them over 3 years, then you will achieve radical differences, amazing success. So that's why I want you to keep creating your creative assets. You know, if you love writing, write a blog every day or every 2-3 days on Medium. If you love shooting videos, open your YouTube channel, start shooting 1-minute videos, you know, every day or every 2 days, whatever. Decide on your schedule. If you want, like, whatever you love doing, if you want to write a book, write 1 page every day. You know, in 1 year, you will have the book ready. You will have 365 pages in 1 year. So everything starts with these small steps. So these small steps are the key to everything. They are the secret to everything. Everything starts with small steps. The biggest things, they all start with smallest steps. Okay, so don't underestimate the power of your habits. That's why you need to really think about your habits and how to make them more positive and more influential. So you can transform your life if you develop positive habits. One of the great habits, great ways to go forward is crowdfunding. It is transforming the world as we know it. There's a documentary on this on Netflix. It is called Capital C.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here we go. One of the coolest things by far about the crowdfunding is that it really gave us the opportunity to launch something that we wouldn't have had before. Traditionally, you'd go to this business guy and be like, hey, business guy, we're going to take off our clothes and run around and act crazy. Do you want to give us some money for this thing? And they'd be like, no, you guys are crazy. You need to throw it out there. And if you get accepted, then it's like, oh, we got a company. Oh, okay, what are we going to do now?
In crowdfunding, money isn't just money.
It's not about the object that you received. It's about you actually making it happen.
What crowdfunding is, it's the cap on a long relationship where you spent years creating work that resonates with people and that they can't live without.
So they go out on Facebook and they go on Twitter and they go blog about it and they go tell friends. And the end result is that amazing things happen.
And then finally, after you've done this, and after they love you, and after you're a part of their life, then you go, hey guys, do you want to help me create my greatest work yet?
We asked for roughly $1 million, and we got it in the first 48 hours.
And it keeps getting bigger. This country is on the brink of understanding that. This is the largest paradigm shift since the Industrial Revolution. I think we're going to watch 2 elections now where even really, really rich.
So it's an amazing documentary. It is called Capital C. You can watch it on Netflix. If you want to understand crowdfunding, you really need to understand how it works. At the basis of it is good storytelling. If you have a good story to tell and have a good social network and a reward system, so if you combine them together, then you have successful crowdfunding. And there are different ways of doing it. The Kickstarter is the most famous one. If you go to Kickstarter.com, have a look. This is a vibrant community of people, especially people who are wanting to, let's say, start new innovations, new products, new services. They are using it all the time. So you can create your own project on Kickstarter. It takes just a few moments to kickstart your page. And even if you don't have any money, you can act as an entrepreneur. And your backers, supporters will support you. So this guy have used Kickstarter to do potato salad, and he collected more than $40,000 using the power of Kickstarter and the power of crowdfunding. How did he do that? He made this funny video and he marketed potato salad as a technology product in this video. And people found it really funny, so they donated. They kicked the project. So it was successful.
face a paradox when we design, to make the cutting edge familiar and the familiar cutting edge, and vice versa. But if we can overcome these challenges, we can make a product without compromise. When we set out to make a potato salad, we couldn't say yes to every ingredient. And there are 1,000 no's for every yes. Every ingredient had to have a reason to be there. And we had to ask ourselves, what's important here? Consistency, taste, texture. We set out to redefine what a side dish could be. And together, we're building a movement. Will it change the world? Probably.
So they did a potato salad party with those $40,000. So you can raise a lot of money using Kickstarter as long as you have projects. But these are some of the other platforms. You can also use Patreon. Patreon helps you to achieve sustainable income. So you get your salary from your supporters if you use Patreon. So have a look. These crowdfunding platforms, they are getting bigger and bigger and more influential every day. So if you want to become an artist or an entrepreneur, you don't need any capital. You can use crowdfunding immediately. So here is your next adventure. I want you to think about your Kickstarter project. What would you like to bring to the world using Kickstarter? What is your big idea? What do you wish to create? Open your notebook, please, and get your pencils. Please write down your ideas. What is your big idea? What do you wish to create? What do you want to bring to the world? Try to build something that builds on your strengths, passion, and hobbies. I want you to do some brainstorming and write down some quick ideas in the next 2 minutes. Do you wish to create a comic book? Do you wish to develop a new innovative product? For example, many innovative products such as drones, they are developed on Kickstarter nowadays. You know, like many startups, they are raising funds on Kickstarter. So if you don't have any money to build or design your product, you can use Kickstarter and raise money for that. So what will be your project? And think of your story. How do you wish to sell this story? Why should people support you? Try to wrap it up, please. Okay, I also introduced you some visuals. This is from retropatents.com, some of the best patents of our era. From Airbnb to Steve Jobs' iPhone, these are patent applications. So this website sells these as posters of these patents. So if you go to the website, you will see many innovations and many visuals. Elif Kurdaya is one of my friends. She's a Turkish artist, so she does these portraits of creativity. I just wanted to share. And Elif Shafak is another colleague. She's a novelist, Turkish novelist, and these are some of her novels, which were translated into English. And if you want to continue your journey of creativity, I recommend you watch this Pixar video of New York Times. So New York Times visits Pixar, and it is a great tour, amazing tour of Pixar's headquarters. Have a look. If you love Pixar, you will love this video. And of course, there is a book on this as well. How is Pixar so successful in creating some of the best animation movies that get Oscars? How do they pull that off? You know, when you watch a Pixar movie, like you feel so good. These movies are some of the best movies ever done. How do they do that? This book gives you the secrets. Ed Catmull, president of Pixar, gives you an inside tour of Pixar in this book. So read this book. It is an amazing adventure into creativity. And I also recommend these Da Vinci principles. Curiosità, demonstration, sensation, sfumato, being comfortable with ambiguity. And these principles, these are all come from Leonardo da Vinci and his creativity. So how can we learn from geniuses like Leonardo da Vinci? Think about it. There's a book actually. If you Google these principles, you can learn so much more about Da Vinci and his creativity. Okay, in the next part, a short exercise on self-making. So what I want you, like you can do this at home whenever you wish. So you will create a poster, okay? You can see my poster. This will be a list of all the things that you love, and you will put it on your wall, okay? This will take about 10 minutes or so. It's a great exercise to do. Think about your activities, hobbies, passions, pleasures, realms of life that are interesting for you. So when do you feel flow? When do you feel really happy? Make a list. I put stars as well around. You know, all the things that I love. Like the first thing that come to my mind, I just made a quick list in my notebook. So you can also do this on your notebook or on a blank page, turn it into a poster and put it on your wall. This will give you a lot of energy. So think about what you might put on this page in the next 30 seconds. Can you write down some initial ideas on your poster? But give this some appropriate time. Do it in 10 to 15 minutes. Do some artistic work as well. And put this on your wall. It will energize you. So for now, just make a quick list. What comes into your mind? Just write them down, please. Okay, So please do this exercise at home. But let me give you another message. Remember yourself when you were a child. What were you really good at? What did you love doing? What are your first memories when you were a child? Let's say this is before you even go to school, right? How did you spend your time? The chances are that you were always playing, imagining, drawing, creating things, role-playing, etc. So when we were young, the great secret is that we were extremely creative. And we were, unfortunately, the school systems, ripped us out of this creativity. We lost it. So, for example, when I was a child, I remember I came across some of my journals, diaries from my childhood. I was always creating new things. I came across my logo. I created this logo when I was 13. I created a cartoon comic magazine at school. I found this magazine. I was about, again, 13 when I did this. I had created my own TV channels and programming in my dreams, and I organized a lot of immersive fun and improvised theater events with my friends. And I did all of these when I was a kid. And the chances are you were also like this when you were a kid. You were much more creative. So I want you to remember those days. Try to remember them. And how can you reclaim? How can you reclaim that inner child of yours, inner child of creativity? Because we lost it, we need to reclaim it, right? So how can you do that? I want you to think of at least one action to do. What can you do so that you can rediscover your childhood creativity? Please write down an action on your notebook on this. Okay, so to be original, you have to create thousands of bad ideas and make mistakes. Keep learning, iterate your ideas, iterate them relentlessly, experiment, run a lot of experimentation, create hundreds of ideas, do hundreds of experiments until you have some promising prototypes that you will turn into reality. And then you can turn them into products. You can improve them, keep working hard and smart, and build new exciting things. But everything starts with a lot of ideas. You need to have like thousands of bad ideas in order to have really original ideas. Okay, so that's the way to creativity. How can you do that? Keep a journal. Every day, your goal should be to create at least 50 ideas, on any topic. Give yourself puzzles. Give your brain some puzzles to solve. How can you give yourself more puzzles? Your brain loves puzzles. You need to create at least 50 ideas every day on these puzzles. 111 pounds. That was a puzzle, right? How can you create 111 pounds every week? So you can create your puzzles like these, and your brain will love that kind of adventure. So what kind of a puzzle can you give your brain? Please write down your puzzle, your challenge in your notebook that you can do this weekend, let's say. What will you do? Remember, you need to create at least 50 ideas about it. Okay? This can be a problem that you want to solve in your life. You need to come up with 50 different ideas, 50 different ways of solving it. So you can take something, for example, you can take something like make online money. That is a problem for your brain. So take that problem and create lots of ideas, or find a job. That's a problem. Yeah, you need to come up with tens of ideas to find a job. Okay, and you need to apply for a lot of jobs, etc. So come up with your own puzzle. Okay, here's another adventure. Your goal is you have £5. Okay, if you have a £5 bill, you can take it out. You have £5. Your goal is to turn it to 5,000. How can you do that? That is another puzzle that I want you to solve. So this looks like an impossible puzzle, right? But it is not impossible. It is possible. So your goal is to turn £5 to 5,000. How can you do that? Please create as many ideas as you can. This is your puzzle now. In the next 1 minute, just create some ideas. Think about this challenge. I mean, is it possible? Is it doable? Yes, it is. I mean, you don't need any capital to establish your company, right? You need to think like an entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs are all about abundance. You need to create abundance, an abundant way of thinking about everything. You know, let me give you an example. I bought a notebook. It was less than £5, a notebook like this. And then this is 50p. So this was less than £5, and then 50p. Both of them, it is like the cost of these, one notebook, one pencil, it is £5, right? This is £5 that I have. But I also have tremendous imagination. So what did I do? I created doodles every day. Every day I created doodles over 1 year. And that means I had 365 doodles. This was a challenge that I set up for myself, 365 doodles a year. And that means, you know, all these doodles, I turned them into my book. It is called Selfmaking Studio. You know it, right? This is the book of this course. If you haven't bought it, I recommend you buy it. It's a great investment because you will see how you might want to create your own assets. This is an asset, right? It will bring me income over the next decades. You know, it continues selling. It will continue selling even after I die. You know, like it is sold in 16 countries. Okay, this is an asset. So you need to think of creating your own assets. And when I applied for this project, for this book project, UEA gave me £5,000 entrepreneurial fund for this project. To create my book. So I applied for this fund, and UEA I won it. So UEA gave me this 5,000 enterprise fund. And Selfmaking Studio is now also a company, an entrepreneurial company that I founded using UEA's money. Okay, so everything that I created, remember, they came from one notebook and one pencil. That's it. And the cost of these is less than £5. But I created 5,000 already, right? And I'm selling this book. So it creates additional money, income as well in the upcoming years. So you need to also think about your own assets for the long term. For example, non-fungible tokens. They are extremely popular, right? One artwork, digital artwork, it has sold for $69 million recently. Have you watched the news? These were non-fungible tokens. So if you want to invest, you can invest in digital art, for example. So there are so many opportunities. For this guy, he wants to draw, so he got a lot of investment. And if you go to the website iwanttodrawacatforyou.com, you will see that he has sold more than 20,000 of these drawings. So he has already made $200,000 using just cat drawings. People love these cat drawings, so they paid more than 200. So he generated already $200,000 just by cat drawings. So this is the power of creativity and abundance and entrepreneurial thinking. You know, if you create products, services, things that people are interested in, people will pay you, and they will pay you a lot. If you have a good story to tell, yeah, you should share it with the world. So this was my self-making studio idea. I first thought about it on 8th of March 2017, and then I implemented it. Right now, it is a company, right? So I'm owner of a company which is all about creativity. So you can also kickstart your own brands, your own companies. It all starts with small ideas, really. The last part, you will do this at home, but just let me introduce this. This is STAR exercise. It helps you to reflect on yourself. I want you to give a flavor of this exercise. Let's start doing it. What are you good at? First, you start with a list of all the things that you are good at. I'm good at. So let's do for the next 30 seconds or so. Open your notebook. Make a list of the things that you are really good at. For example, I'm good at diary keeping, doodling, inspiring, maybe coaching, teaching. So what are you really good at? And also you love doing. What do you love doing? Make a list. Whatever comes to your mind, please make a quick list. For example, I love cooking green beans with olive oil, dill, garlic, and tomatoes. This is my secret recipe. I love doing it. Right? So, and it is delicious as well. So what is your secret? What are you good at? Include that in your list. And try to make it very specific if you can. So please continue this list at home whenever you have a time. Spend about like 10 minutes for each of these. So the next question, I want you to start thinking about this as well. What do you want to learn, improve, get better at? So what are the things that you want to learn, you want to improve, get better at? So these are some of the things that I want to develop. For example, I made my list. What are yours? Please come up with a couple of things, write them down. Things that you want to learn. Do you wish to learn an instrument, a new language? What are the skills that you wish to get? Thank you, Lauren, for your. I love, yeah. You should come and I will make some green beans for you. Okay, try to wrap this up. Again, please continue this list whenever you have a chance. Spend 10 more minutes on this whenever you have a chance. 10 minutes, this is a great investment. If you can think about these, it's time well spent, really. The last part, specific. What are your specific visions that you would love to see happening? These might be related to your life, to your career. What are your wishes, projects, goals, desires, visions? Make a list. For 30 seconds, let's kickstart the list. Start doing it. Okay, please continue this list at home, but spend more time on each of the lists. They will help you a lot, and they will also help you in your asset creation project. Try to incorporate some of these ideas into your asset creation project. How can you turn them into assets? Think about that and tie them to your asset creation project. In the epilogue, £1 fish guy. So he was selling fish at the heart of London.
Oh my.
Ladies, come on, ladies, 1 pound fish. Come on, ladies, come on, ladies, 1 pound fish. 1 pound fish. Have a look, 1 pound fish. Have a look, 1 pound fish. Very, very good. 1 pound fish. Very, very cheap. 1 pound fish. 6 pound, 5 pound, 1 pound fish.
So he loved singing, and he was selling fish by singing at the heart of London. What happened next is unbelievable. Bestsellers in the UK at some point. So if you do whatever you do in your own way, you will become successful. You can read about these key takeaways, but thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed. I will see you after the class. So if you haven't registered, let me give you the QR code again. But this is the end of our class. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you after the after the break. Thank you so much for your attention, everyone. Bye-bye.